So Asia, if you would like to start, we can begin.
Okay, thank you. And I would like to call to order this meeting, the Monday, July 14th meeting of the RWRAC CIP Subcommittee. Jeanette, can you help with the roll call?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Anne Marie Wolf.
Here.
Asia Philbin.
Here.
Scott Oldendorf.
Here.
And Steve Foley.
Here.
We have a quorum.
Okay, great. Thank you. Can you also help me with the virtual meeting reminders in the chat?
Of course.
Okay, thank you.
2 moments, please.
I know I'll miss something if I don't read the script.
This is the easy peasy part. There you go. In the chat.
Okay, thank you. Oh, you know what? It's not showing me. I wonder if it's a permissions thing because I have something in my. Oh no, there it is. Okay. So I'm going to ask everyone. There are very few of us here, but still, please mute your microphones. This will help ensure there is no feedback or background noises that may interfere with the speaker. If a committee member would like to speak or ask a question, please use the raise your hand tool. Remember to lower your hand once your question has been answered or you finish speaking so we know it has been answered. And then when you're ready to speak, please unmute your microphone. This is especially important during the votes, so do not forget to vote with your microphone on and then turn it off when you're finished. As a reminder, audience members are only permitted to speak during the call to the audience unless you're called on by the committee. So we will, I think we have a couple times where we do that call to the audience. This meeting is being recorded to satisfy open meeting law requirements. Okay, and so with all of those reminders, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance. Okay, I'll begin. I pledge allegiance
to the flag
of the United States
of America,
and to
the republic for which it stands, one nation,
under God,
indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thanks, Jeanette. Thanks, everyone. Okay, so then call to the audience. I don't think we have any audience here. We have seeing hands. I don't hear anything. Okay, we'll move on to the safety share. Does anyone have something to share for safety? Okay, I don't see any hands. I'm going to just mention the heat, right? We continue to have really hot weather out there. Make sure you stay hydrated. Keep an eye on yourself and those around you when you are, particularly when you are outside, and keep in mind the folks who might not have shelter, and what we can do to provide for that too. Anyone have anything else to add? Okay, good. So that probably means we haven't had any near misses or anything recently with anyone to have a share. So that's good. Everybody's staying safe. Okay, approval of minutes. We have the minutes for December 10th. Did everybody get a chance to look at them? See nodding heads. Any changes or any motion? I'll take a motion for the minutes.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 10th, 2024.
I'll second.
Thanks, Stanley. Okay. Thanks, Steve. Okay, so we have motion and a second. Any discussion or questions about the minutes? Okay, then I'll call for the vote. Those who would like to approve the motion, aye.
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 Aye. Myself. Anyone not approving the motion? Nays? Any abstentions? Okay, I think we approve the minutes and moving on to the review of the fiscal year 2025-26 10-year CIP plan. And I see Jaime's here. Do you want to launch in, Jaime?
Sure can. Let me
Okay.
share my screen real quick.
Okay, thank you.
All right. You'll see that spreadsheet. Yep, its size is
sir.
okay, or is it too small? All good. All right. So this is a snapshot of our last week of the fiscal year 25 that just closed. We can go real quick, or we can highlight the ones that are the main projects we're working on. So I'll just highlight the ones that are the biggest increase or decrease, or spent or not spent. And then if you have any other questions, we can go and kind of focus on any one of those. So if you look at column F, you see some black and some red. So black is we overspent, or we spent above our budgeted amount, and red is that we underspent, or we didn't spend as much as we budgeted for. So, and this happens every year. It's the way the flow of the projects. Some are accelerated or going smoothly. Some encounter some issues that they are not able to spend all the money that they were budgeted for. So I'm going to hit the red ones first so you can see which ones underspent and what the reasoning for it was. And then we can go over on how we try to always balance that out by moving monies not spent in a particular project to buckets where we can do additional maintenance, repair, rehabilitation, and try to make use of that money approved for the fiscal year. So the first one is the Anamox project. This one is an ongoing project. The GMP was approved earlier, just before the summer. So we were forecasting the contractor Kiwi to start spending money more accelerated than what actually happened. So they're procuring equipment and materials, but they were not able to spend the whole amount that we budgeted for them. So that is where this number comes from. Orders are in, materials are slowly trickling in, and unless we receive them and are on our possession, we cannot pay that bill, even if the order has been placed. So that is going to be rolled over to this current fiscal year, and we'll pay when the materials show up. That invoice will be paid, basically. Sneaking down to the next one, the conveyance pump station rehab. It was a delivery of a new pump station. We're replacing the principal pump station. It's a small pump station that came up for replacement. It's old. It's about 40 years old. It's a package pump station. It's something that you basically buy the whole manhole. The pump station is already integrated in it. So we procure that. The contractor is underway installing and setting up that pump station. And some of the amount that is unspent here, we're still expecting some invoices to come in. And for job order contractors and some of the bigger projects, the invoicing is slow, for lack of a better word, and we may receive an invoice in July or August for work done in July, June, or the previous fiscal year. So as we receive those invoices, these numbers will probably go into the black. But this is just a snapshot on the last week of the fiscal year. The next one down is the Canoa Ranch sewer extension. This one was awarded to Hunter Contracting. They are working with Kimley Horn, the engineering group, designing the alignment. And we're working toward a GMP later this summer. So that will be for segment 1. We were expecting some of that GMP to be coming in earlier in the calendar year, in the past fiscal year, but it didn't reflect it. So now with that being pushed to this current fiscal year, that amount will be kind of rolling over and spent this year. Next one down, it's a small amount for a parade that's closing out. Farther down, Prudence Pump Station, that was a parade that was canceled. The intent, just like the principal pump station, the Prudence Pump Station was meant to be replaced or basically turned into a gravity system. An opportunity came to install a gravity line, but it had a problem because the alignment was going through a landfill, and the environmental impact of going through a landfill was a very high risk, and it wasn't making sense to spend all that money and acquire that risk as a county. So we basically flipped and are continuing to work on the rehabilitation of that pump station. And we're going to have to keep it until an opportunity shows up and we're able to work with either the environmental departments, and they reduce the liability for going through that landfill, or some other developer comes along and installs a line that makes it easier for us to relieve that pump station. So right now, that money was not spent because the gravity sewer was not installed. We're moving that project to a rehabilitation of that pump station, the equipment, electrical equipment, mechanical replacements and such. The next one down is the Class A biosolids. That was the biggest project that we had to kind of regroup. Originally, that included drying facilities, solar dryers, a big greenhouse, the intent being to reduce the volume of that sludge or biosolid so we could have some savings in the disposal of it. Well, that project came out very, very high, about close to 3 times what we originally budgeted for. So obviously that was something we were not going to pursue. The payback would have been very long. So we had to kind of readjust our scope. And although we had already budgeted to start what we thought was going to be the greenhouse and the solar dryer, by the time we realized that was way out of budget, the process to approve the budget for the following year I have already gone. So we were not able to adjust down this amount here for the budget year. So with that, the current effort is just to face it. They're doing some additional work in installing I believe it's a Honda system that will reduce the volume of the biosolids by further treating it. So that will help in the future as we do the second phase and pursue another way to dispose of the biosolids. The volume will be smaller because this Honda system will basically reduce the volume of the material we have to work with. And finally, the very last one here is the U of A Tech Park SEI augmentation. We've been working with the U of A. We've committed with them to fund an augmentation of their system that they are already planning on. So at the moment, we are finalizing our agreement. The U of A had some hiccups in their budget, so they had to slow down until they had approval to spend the monies they were looking to spend on the augmentation of that tech park facility. We met recently with them. They have been approved for this year to extend or continue their development. So that means that project will restart this year. And our commitment to them is they will design and install and will contribute a portion or a share of the incremental cost of the sewer system they're installing. So if they needed a 12-inch and we're asking them to install a 27-inch, we're paying that incremental cost for them to install the bigger line. So it's kind of a partnership between the U of A and the Pima County Sewer Department. So with all of that read, we always try to spend as much money as we can for the fiscal year. And what happens is, as we see that projects are slowing down and not spending enough or what they're budgeted for, we try to move those monies to other areas that can spend that money. And as we do CCTV inspections of sewer lines and the treatment plants do inspections of their equipment, we always have a backlog of maintenance, repair, and rehabilitation that we can perform. We cannot, it would be many years of budgets to cover all that money. So as monies are released or really are not spent in a particular project, they're moved to the buckets and they're spent in maintenance, repair, and rehabilitation. So you'll see here some big increases, like, for example, MRP 25 was increased by $6 million. MR 225, which focuses on manhole and structures, was increased by almost 5. So we try to spend as much money as we can for the approved budget year. As this year, however, it was a big. This one here was a big decrease, so we were not able to spend all that money released. The $50 million just was a big hit for us. So with that, we'll probably be closer to the 90% spent, not our 95 plus that we always like to get to. But we'll know for sure in a few months when we start closing projects and we receive all the late invoicing that we're expecting the next month or two. So with that kind of a snapshot, if you have any questions on any of the particular projects, I can go ahead and answer them.
Yeah, thank you, Jaime. That was a really good overview. I do have a couple of questions. Do any of the other committee members on any of the projects? I don't see any hands or questions. Okay. Yeah, on the biosolids, the Class A biosolids project, I do remember that presentation. You know, there was a presentation, I think, to the committee about that whole project. Do you know what that? And then I think you mentioned the Honda system is going to like be an interim solution. Is that right, or is that a something that continues?
So the pandas will. It's a project by itself. So once it's installed, it's a standalone system. It will further treat the biosolids by heat, and it'll reduce the volume of the solids. It's my understanding of how the system works. So what it's left is able to be dewatered, and it's a smaller volume that the trucks need to send out. It's not as good as drying it with the solar system, with the greenhouse system, but it's an intermediate process, standalone, and will be fully operational by itself. And another benefit is that by the time that's up and running, we can relook at the size of that solar system. And with the new volume, smaller volume, it may be a smaller facility, and it may be then more feasible, or the dollar amount may be something that we can tackle rather than the bigger amount that originally was presented to us.
Okay. Okay. Thank you. And that, do you know what the big,
Asia, hey, this is Jackson. Sorry to jump in, but I did want people to know that we know we were going to need to build 2 digesters, and a new digester is over 25 million each. And so this Pondus will allow us to only have to build 1 digester. So that investment will save us one of the $25 million investments. So I just wanted to add that.
oh, okay. Yeah, thank you. So was that like one of the major costs that you said it was 3 times? I think Jaime said it was 3 times the
The solar,
projected, but
Mhm.
Go ahead, the solar.
The
yeah.
solar dryer facility, yes.
Okay. And then I wasn't clear, you said that the budget was not, you weren't able to adjust the budget in time for that, but you were you talking about this last fiscal year,
The-
25?
Correct. So,
Okay,
so
so
that
going
21
forward,
million was intended to be funding what we thought or budgeted for the original greenhouse facility, which we did not end
You
up
knew you-
building because of
okay.
the cost that was presented to us.
Okay. And then next year's is just, you're looking at maybe design changes, but not
So
including the construction, or is that still in the budget, but further out?
no, we're not doing or budgeting that greenhouse in under this project any longer. And it's
Okay.
just at the Pondas, and then we'll have another related projects that will connect the facility to the main terrestrial systems. And then we'll close out that project, and this will be a phase one, and it'll be a standalone. By the time it's finished, the Ponda system, it will be operational, and it'll perform not the same type of reduction that a solar system would provide on the volume of that biosolid being disposed, but it'll be smaller. It will reduce the amount we have to deal with.
Okay. Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
And if I could add
And the-
this, Jackson, again, one of the key issues with that solar drying system, was planned to make a Class A biosolid and then allow us an expanded market to send biosolids out. But with the latest on PFAS, we're still not sure where that's going to end. So we'd hate to spend all that money for the solar dryer and then not be able to really do much with the biosolids because of PFAS issues. So until that gets settled out and we know exactly what's going to be required, the solar drying system is kind of on the sideline until we determine it's a benefit or not. That's all.
Okay, thanks. And Anne-Marie has her hand up. Do you want to go, Anne-Marie?
Yeah, so now actually I'm confused. So the budget that you couldn't adjust was 24, 25, correct? Not 25, 26?
Correct.
Okay, all right. I got confused there for a moment. So now
No.
hopefully I'm unconfused, at least on that issue. Okay.
Yeah. So that $21 million there was originally intended to be the first part of that big solar installation. And by the time we realized that we were not going to do that solar facility, the budgeting process was already underway and the number stuck. And we're not able to move it out or reduce it.
And it looks, Jaime, too, like you were able to, like you said, it's going to be maybe 90% spent from the budget.
Well, hoping it will get that
Be-
close, but it
Yeah.
was a big chunk of money that we had to try and rearrange
Put in the
and
buckets.
use elsewhere. Yep.
Okay, yeah, I think that that column F does a pretty good job, of showing that. So, and then that J, right, is the bottom line. That's what you're projecting, that if all your invoices come in, that's that 5.6 or 5.7 million that would be under.
That's the best case scenario. If we are able to get all the invoices and spend all the money that we had already encumbered, that would be the dollar amount that we will not be able to spend. But over here in this under encumbrances, this is where we're setting aside money for invoices that are trickling in, and we may not be able to spend that 14 million. So it's still out in the air what the final amount will be. On our next meeting, we'll probably be able to get a more definitive number of what was our spent budget this closing year.
Okay, thank you. And I didn't see any hands at the beginning. Any questions coming up for folks? Sounds like we're pretty good on that. Thank you, Jaime. Do you want to continue? Do you have the 5 or the 10 or is that
Yep.
something?
Let me bring the next spreadsheet. Let's see. Do you all see this new spreadsheet? Size is okay? Yep. Okay, so this is the new, it says requested. It's, I believe, approved now. So this is our new fiscal year and a little forecast beyond. We're using that 10-year spreadsheet that kind of shows a 10-year program. So if we focus here on F, that's probably what you're all interested on, looking at what's going to be going on this ongoing fiscal year. So scrolling down here is the buckets. You're all aware of them. We set aside every year a certain amount that is intended to cover maintenance, repair, rehabilitation, things that break because of wear and tear on the treatment facility. And that's what this $8 million is intending to, but is budgeted for. And so we'll scroll a little bit down. This right here, the emergency backup power, we requested and we were awarded a grant to purchase 2 generators to back up power in Tres Rios. And we have to fund initially the purchase and then we get reimbursed. So this project is intending to make monies available to the project to purchase the equipment and get it installed. After which we then go after the grant and we get, or the county or the department gets reimbursed, not exactly the project. So we'll show this as an expense, even if the monies are reimbursed. So we're setting aside $100,000 this year. We're still working with the emergency management, I believe, was the grantee that the grant was awarded through the state, and we're working with them to verify that yes, we're all squared away with the latest kind of back and forth between grants being awarded or on hold. We want to make sure that we're able to be reimbursed before we pull the trigger and make the purchase of the equipment. So this 100,000 here is intended to start the procurement process, and as soon as we get confirmation from the state that yep, here's your money and we can go ahead and make the purchase and get reimbursed, then we'll pull the trigger and start the procurement process. Next one down here is the digester facility that Jackson was just mentioning, that we're aiming to build one facility or one tank this fiscal year or the next couple of fiscal years. So we budgeted for initially the cultural resources clearances that are underway right now. And then right after that, or concurrent with the cultural clearances, the design is ongoing or will be ongoing. And as soon as the cultural resources is cleared, we'll start construction of the facility itself. So we have a budget for the next 2.5 years to cover that new tank. The Anita Mox project here, the next one down, it's currently designed. The Kiewit is the contractor who is going to be installing that system. The GMP has been issued, equipment is being procured, and we are hoping, or our goal is to get it constructed and finished this current year. So this is the amount that's in blue here. Excuse me. The next one down is the Class A biosolid. This is the PONDAS amount. This budget is adjusted to reflect the cost of that PONDAS system. So it's intended to, this budget for this year will get that process, purchase, and construction started. Installation will continue up until the following fiscal year. So it'll be a 2-year process. Excuse me. The next one down is the Saurita Wastewater Reclamation Facility. We are underway or just starting the coordination process with the program manager. Kimley Horn was selected as the program manager. They're helping us coordinate all the meetings and identify all the requirements for the project for the facility itself or the interceptor. We currently held initial meetings with the town of Sahuarita to try and figure out exactly what's their vision, how they matches our future plans for the sizing of the facility, the access for to the parcel, and so on. So we had that initial meeting with the town, and we'll continue trying to finalize and make sure that we're all in sync of where the access through the town is going to be through, and also how they are foreseeing their existing treatment facility future capacity to see if that impacts how large or what the size of the facility that us, the county, need to build if we need to, in the future, accept some of their flow, or they release some of their area of responsibility because they cannot handle it in their facility, then we would then have to account for that additional flow in our new facility. So those discussions are ongoing, just starting, but that will be important to size the facility and be able to build something that we won't have to change or expand soon after because we were not accounting for some flow. So that's where the facility for Sahuarita is at the moment. And it goes for several years. We're aiming to be done and have an active facility by the year 2030, 2031. And that's the sort of the planning forecast. And that will be adjusted once we get a better sense of the size and the obstacles to get through to the parcel, either Union Pacific crossings or easements and the such. So that's a quick snapshot of that project as we know it today. Then scrolling down, we have the Sahuarita interceptor. So we are in need of installing an interceptor that will connect the Green Valley facility to this new Sahuarita treatment facility. And that interceptor is going to be designed concurrently with the treatment plant and will go to construction at the same time as the treatment facility. So intent being that once the facility is up and running, that interceptor is in place and we can start sending flows from Green Valley to the new facility. Next one down is the Canoa Ranch sewer extension. The design is about 60%. We're expecting a GMP later this summer, and construction will start right after. This will be the first phase, about halfway from the Canoa Ranch intersection, I believe, with I-19, all the way down to the visitor or the rest area in I-19. So that's the first phase. And the second phase will follow in the future and will connect from the Arivaca Junction facility to where we will end this one at the rest area. But this is just the first phase. Next one down is the U of A Tech Park installation. We're sharing, this is our share of the extension of that sewer, and we're working with the Tech Park group to install that portion of that extension. And going down, these are buckets for auto control that are closing out and opening up new fiscal year buckets for auto control. And scrolling down, we have same buckets for pump stations. That breaks are buckets that are closing out, new ones that are being opened up. The minor pipe rehabilitation, as usual, the bucket that closes up here, the FY25, and the new one that opens up FY26. Mineral rehabilitation, same process. We close out the previous year. We opened the next one. These are buckets for utilities, ADOT, Pima County DOT, City of Tucson DOT, when they have road projects and they have impacts to the sewer system, which we are responsible to relocate. They do the work, we reimburse them, and this is where that money is budgeted at. And that's about it. And we're looking at almost $63 million this year for our capital program. And with that, if you have any questions in any particular project, let me know. We'll kind of focus on those.
Thank you, Jaime. I'll open it up again. If anyone on the committee has any questions, feel free to maybe just jump in. We're so few and I can see everybody's faces. So. Okay. Okay, I'll have a question. Maybe this is a question for Jackson. I'm looking at, or just kind of thinking of like the AWP and the process with Trace. Oh, Amory has her hand up too. Amory, do you want to go? No, okay, so
No, finish your question and then I'll go. Okay.
Okay. So I'm just wondering, like, on the designs of the, the new facilities that are coming in, or like Sahuarita or Canoa, are there any considerations for that being potential in the future? The advanced water purification type scenario? Or is it too early? Is that
Jackson,
something
if you're
that you
talking,
want
you're
Jackson?
muted.
Jackson might be muted, or he is muted for sure, but I don't know if you heard my question.
Do you want me to answer that, Jaime?
Yeah, I think she was trying to address you.
Yeah, sorry. I would say that, yeah, any plant that we're going to build, we're going to design it in a way that AWP could be added on. We're at this moment in time, we're not planning to go directly to AWP at this time, like at the Sahuarita facility, but we will make it amenable or compatible with adding the additional treatment processes if need be. And of course, that's still a little bit of ways out there, so it could be added at a later date. But as we know it now, we'll just make sure it's able to take on AWP with minimal cost other than whatever we're constructing.
Okay, thanks. That answers my question. Go ahead, Emery.
Yeah, actually, since we're supposed to be looking at the 5 and 10-year CIP today, I appreciate looking at the 25-26, but I was wondering, Jaime, if you could maybe give us just a little bit more details on the projects that are extending into that 5 and 10-year. And I know you always say that, after 3-4 years, the budget is, kind of difficult. But maybe just a little more detail on some of those that are coming up and those that are going to extend into the 5 and 10-year.
Yep. Yes, we can do that. So going back real quick to the spreadsheet here, the central operation renovation, this is a project that's a couple of years out, intending to consolidate operations personnel. They're scattered right now in Tres Rios, different office areas, or some buildings have little cubes where operation personnel camp out depending on their expertise or their area of work. And this is intending to rehabilitate the old powerhouse building that's currently empty and make it into a single location where all personnel that works in operations are consolidated. The next one down is the primary clarifiers. This is the original. So Tres Rios is the east and west. The east is the original older treatment facility, which was it was worked on during RUM, but it was not rehabilitated or replaced. It was just kind of fixed. So it's the original concrete. Some of the original equipment is still there because at the time it was not in terrible shape, so we continue using it. So after 10, 14 years from RUM, they're coming up where they're getting really worn and repairs are becoming more frequent. So we're looking at that primary clarifier on the east side to rehabilitate it, basically take out all the old original equipment, the chains and flights and all of that, and replace it with a new system. So this is what the Building 4 Primary Clarifiers project is intending to do. It's a complete rehabilitation of the primary clarifiers on the east side of the plant. Terrestrials backup, we talk about those. Going to see here if there's anything else that's new. Got the buckets. Yeah, so those are the main things that are going to start not this year, but on future years, but they're in the kind of the near horizon of what we're going to be working on in the next few years.
Thanks,
know,
Jaime. I have a,
Jaime,
Mhm.
I'm sorry to interrupt again, but Jaime, you might want to share that, we're at least evaluating that phase 2 of the Arivaca Junction project, the extension of the Canoa Ranch line all the way to Arivaca Junction to take that lagoon system out. But, you're looking at how we might be able to do that, and especially because, we've spent a little bit of money on, on the maintenance when we were underspent on some of our years. We've moved forward in the buckets that Jaime described to you. And that might allow us an opportunity to do the second phase of that project sooner. But that's just an internal conversation we're sorting through right now.
Right, so Jackson was referring to this one here. So this is the first phase. It takes us about halfway south to get to Arivaca Junction. So the current cost model is about $13 million. And we asked Hunter, which is the CMAR working for the county on this first phase, to give us a cost model for the second segment. If with the information we know so far, how much they believe that would cost to do that second leg, and also closing out the lagoons at Arivaca Junction and the pump station that's kind of related to it. So they came up with about a $22 million estimate. It's a lot more than the first phase because there's a jack and bore under I-19. And in order to make the slopes work, where everything flows smoothly north in this case, we had to, there's already an existing dead end interceptor that was installed many years ago, trying to foresee where we were going to be extending the line. Well, that line was installed too low or too deep, so it needs to be shallower. So we will have to remove and replace or reinstall about 8 reaches of the existing dead end that's heading out or north from the Arivaca Lagoon. So because of those kind of bigger items, the price went up around $22 million. And that's a cost model dollar amount with a lot of risk involved. So it is foreseen that once all the questions are answered, the risks are addressed, that number will come down. So we were looking at the possibility of doing that second segment concurrently with that first segment and just call it good and close out the lagoons at Arivaca Junction. So we're looking at reducing or using some of the buckets, like taking little pieces of each bucket proportionally, and using those little pieces of each bucket to fund the ongoing or the balance of that construction. And along with that is the general kind of pattern that every year we don't spend as much on bigger projects as we think, and we are always kind of realigning or rebudgeting some of the unused or unspent monies. So we were thinking that accounting for that type of, I guess you can call it the unspent budget that every year we kind of realign, and taking small portions of the different buckets, we may be able to fund that second segment and just finish the whole project, which will be good in the sense that otherwise we will have to we will have a piece of interceptor or outfall sewer that's half built, and we will have to make sure that we build the other half at a future time. Whereas if we can do it all on one sitting, we're assured that we have something that's up and running and we don't have to worry about it anymore going forward. So those are things we're weighing in, see if it's feasible. We can swing that change or that adjustment in the future 2 years or so. That is what it would take for that second segment to be built. But we're still exploring it. We haven't kind of say, yeah, it's doable. We're just throwing scenarios to see how that pans out.
Okay, thank you, Jaime. I have, I guess, another question. Do you think that year to year, like somewhere around the 60,000 is what 60, 62, 63,000 is what a typical year would be in order to cover all the buckets, and if you didn't have any really extraordinary capital project like Saurita, something like that? I can't, yeah.
Yeah, let me scroll down to the bottom here.
Thank you.
So we've been kind of settling on a $55 million that takes care of maintenance, repair, rehabilitation, and any project that may be lingering out there. So if Saurita was not there, we would probably continue with a 55-ish plus or minus $1 million program going forward. So that kind of hoop here that we're going up to 60, 116, 112, 92, 67. That kind of hump here is the Saurita facility and the interceptor that goes along with it. And then we're forecasting or foreseeing that we will go back to our standard $55 million annual program once that is all completed.
Okay. And do you think that seems like it's sufficient to keep, like, I'm just thinking of some of the presentations you've given us in the past about like the condition assessments on the manholes and just making sure that it's all in good shape. Is that 55 seem like a good number there?
Seems to be a good number. In the past, we play with going to 40, 45, 50, and it was always kind of like a little too tight. 55 seems to be a good number that's been holding up. It's been taking care of a big chunk of that rehabilitation list for both conveyance and treatment. The backlog, it continues to be built as they do CCTV or they do inspections in the facilities and they find things they need to repair or rehab. But that 55 seems to be a good spot where all the major things are addressed, and whatever's in the backlog it can wait for the next year. I don't know if that makes sense.
I'm sorry, Jaime, just also want to add in there that, we're talking to get through the big Saurita, the new facility that we'll build at Saurita for a couple $100+ million. We, that's still like 6-7 years out, before all that spend is done. And that's a lot of years of inflation. So sure, we like to say we'll bounce back to our balance or our equilibrium point of 55 million a year, but let's see what 5, 6, 7 years worth of inflation does before we find that in blood type of thing. So just a comment.
True.
Okay, thanks. And Emery, go ahead.
Actually, I have two questions. The first one is, are there things on your backlog, though, Jaime, that never get addressed or just keep getting pushed year to year?
There
That's the
are,
first
so, excuse me, so the big backlog, the list that we work on, it's refreshed every time they go on CCTV. So, for example, on the conveyance side, we may have a crack that's a grade 3, for example, and it's kind of in the middle of the list. And as other things pop up, emergencies, major breaks and things like that, things get put on top of it. So that little crack may stay there for a long time and never get repaired. It's not that it's it's not going to create a problem. The pipeline is working fine. It's just some defect that was identified and it's in the list to be repaired, because ideally everything is perfect, but it may not be impacting our operation. But at the same time, if that crack opens up and it becomes something more serious, it'll jump to the higher levels of that list. So it may get done quicker, or so it depends on the evaluation every year, or every 3 years or so, when we get to that back to that same location and re-look at it again. If it's the same, it's a small crack, it's not damaging or impacting the operation, no, there's no SSOs or leakage or things like that, we'll just keep an eye on it, and they not necessarily get repaired, and it may be 10, 15 years before, if ever, it gets repaired. But if it gets if it opens up, becomes a real problem that now we see dirt, it's the clay pipe is cracking and losing structural integrity, then it will jump up and then it will get addressed faster, or for sure. So that's kind of the evaluation that's constantly done on the conveyance side when they TV things, and they manage that list and prioritize it.
Okay. So then the backlog, if I'm understanding it correctly, they aren't being ignored, that you're going out every 2-3 years evaluating them. So
Right, they're not ignored. We put eyes on it, and every 3 years, we adjust the rating. It's either the same or okay, it's getting worse, so let's increase the priority, and it gets moved up the priority list.
okay.
And if it gets moved high enough, it gets addressed.
Okay. So that actually wasn't my second question. Oh, go ahead, Jackson. So
Yeah, just, typically, on an interceptor, we're looking at those every 5 years, and on the rest of the pipeline, we're looking at it every 10 years. But once something like in Jaime's example, it's a level 3 crack or something, let's go straight through the lane. We'll look at it more frequently because it's on our special list of something that, hey, we better keep an eye on it. We may keep an eye on it every year, every 2 years, depending on what the situation is. So that's why it's a little different evaluation once we have one that's on our radar.
okay. So that actually wasn't my second question. This is my second question. And I'm sure you guys know what it's going to be because I ask it every year at this meeting. Is there anything else that you kind of inkling on in the future that you're hearing about, maybe new regulations or change in regulations or other ideas coming up that might affect this 5 or 10 year plan?
Well, I'll jump in, Jaime.
Go for it.
PFAS is obviously one that's out there. Might the wastewater department have to treat for PFAS, and that will cost some money if that is the case. But right now it's not the plan that we're doing that, but we'll keep it up. And if in the future, depending on our partnership on AWP, right now that's primarily the water companies, and in our current case, Tucson Water is going to go ahead and they got some grant money and they're ponying up all the AWP costs, but there will be some costs for us that we're going to be expecting that, our costs are covered as well from like the Tucson Water effort at the Tres Rios facility, but more to come. But those are a couple of them that come to mind.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, Emery. Thanks, Jackson. Maybe that's something for the full committee too, that we could, Jeanette, talk to Claire about scheduling. Like, I know there's usually like a policy, sometime in the year we do get the county's policy folks that are following things like PFAS and the regulations. Is that something that, Jackson, that we could work into the full committee meeting to have updates on that?
You bet. That would be important for all of us to be paying attention to, and it could change our course of direction. So yeah, we'll keep you up on that one. We'll provide updates.
Okay, thank you. Oh, I had another question. What was my question? Does anyone else, is the rest of the committee have any questions for Jaime or Jackson? I was, kind of along the lines of what Anne-Marie had said about the things that get pushed back. I do remember that building, right, for the reorganizing the folks that and giving them a space, was in the budget, and now it's a couple years out. And I guess I'm kind of worried about that one because it's far enough out that it, I don't know. I feel like we could lose track of it, that it is something important that you wanted to try and do previously and weren't able to do. Jaime or Jackson, do you have any thoughts on that? I know it's not a big cost, but it's significant enough. Go ahead.
When we try to balance the budget every year and try and keep it more aligned, there again priorities, like some things are broken and need repair quickly, whereas others are, we need this because it's good, but it's not an emergency. So that's where some of those projects fall, and those are the ones that probably get shifted up or down a little bit to make room for projects that are really an emergency or urgent and need to happen earlier rather than later. So that is one that we do want to know. We have identified it, but has some flexibility on when it can happen, as opposed to another project that may need to happen right away because there is a need operationally to get something done.
Okay, thank you. I think that's what we have for our questions. And I don't think we have a presentation on the 10-year. Is that correct? I mean, we had the discussion and Anne-Marie's question, but go ahead.
So that spreadsheet that I showed earlier, it's the 10-year.
You're right.
And we can talk semi-intelligently to the first 5 years, and then after that is a little fuzzy.
Yeah. And there's no update to the, I think the county has its like an integrated plan, right, that tries to look at those things too. Is there anything that this group should be seeing, any updates to that?
So that spreadsheet, the 10-year, is an integrated plan. So we're kind of using that same spreadsheet as our presentation tool for you all. So you can see will eventually everything will be used or updated out of that one spreadsheet or report. Okay. So everybody will be showing or seeing the same thing. Okay. So going forward, we'll keep using that same 10-year IIP spreadsheet or report to give you all an update. That way you see what the county sees and what it's in the public website for the county to show everybody.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And you just don't see there's nothing that's come up in terms of risks associated with other county projects that are kind of because that was the purpose, right? Or part of the purpose of that report. Is there anything, you're hearing on other county projects that might impact wastewater?
Not the county. We're working with ADOT. They're working on that expansion of Keno, kind of in the east side of I-10. That's the only project out there that's kind of larger that we're coordinating with at the moment.
Okay, thank you. Okay, well, I think that wraps up our discussion unless anybody else has any questions for Jaime. Okay, well, thank you very much, Jaime. That was really good.
You're
Thanks for answering all our questions. Our next item is the meeting schedule. I think we don't have any, outstanding things, I think, from this meeting that we would need to schedule another, interim meeting or special meeting. We typically meet our meeting twice a year. Once, I think the January kind of time frame to see the proposal for the next fiscal year. Is that still a good timing? That's a question for the staff, I guess, whoever is best to answer that for the county.
Last year, you guys met January 23rd, May 14th, and December 10th. That is when you met during 2024. In 2023, you met in January and July. So
Okay.
it really depends on, do you want another meeting at the end of this year? Do you want to wait until the budget cycle starts? January-ish? Anne Marie?
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah. It looks like Emery has something. I would just say, when you mentioned December, I was thinking that can be helpful. Just if there's a lot to talk about, to split it into 2 meetings. But go ahead, Emery.
Yeah, actually, I have a comment but as far as you said, we could generally schedule maybe December if we need it, and then do our regular January meeting. Okay. So.
Yeah. All right. Let's consider January then. And I think typically, Jeanette, does anyone else want to weigh in on that from the committee?
Okay, so you want me to do a doodle for a January meeting? So I'll probably send it out in November-ish.
Mhm.
Okay.
That sounds good. And Emery, did you have something else or your hand?
Yeah, I do, but we can finish setting the.
Okay.
Okay.
Okay. That sounds great. Thank you, Jeanette, for getting us set up with that. And everybody keep an eye out for the doodle. I think future agenda items, is that where you want to put your discussion, Emery, or did you want to?
No, I just wanted to thank you, staff, for the presentation, Jaime. And also, I've been on the committee, I think now I'm the longest standing member, but the improvement I've seen in the management of the capital improvement projects over the eons I've been on the committee and the budgeting process. And I particularly appreciate the buckets that we do keep doing maintenance on the system, even though, I had a few concerns today, but I really hope we keep that the 55 is a good number for that. But I really appreciate the presentation and the staff and how the projects are managed and the budgeting. I've just seen such a big improvement in this whole process, the lifetime I've been on the committee. So I just wanted to throw that out, that I appreciate that. Okay.
Yeah, thanks for that, Emery. It was, what time is it? It's like 9:30 now. I think that was a really good presentation, use of the time, and Jaime was highlighting things. And I too, I've not been on as long as Emery. I think I came on and it was already improving, right? But it's just gotten better, and I do also appreciate that. So future agenda items, typically in January, we are looking at the budget. I don't know that there would be anything else we would need to be discussing. Any thoughts from the committee members, particular projects, that came up today that you'd like some more information on that we could highlight for January? Give staff a heads up on that. Okay, well, there is like quite a few months between now and January, so
Yeah.
we'll have a chance to think about
The
that
only-
again. So
The only
Go
thing is, Asia, that you had mentioned, the PFAS, that if we get regular committee updates on that we may need to have that on the agenda in January, depending on what the status is. So if we can just leave that one as a possibility, but if we're getting continual updates at the regular committee meeting, we should know.
Yeah, okay, great. Thanks, Emery. Sounds good. Any other, Scott, go ahead.
Jaime, can you just go over just the basics again? Sarita, the planning phase is gonna be like what year to what year? Starting the project at Sarita starts about what year, and completing about what year? You know, just the timeline.
So with the program manager on board, they're gonna start coordinating and kind of ironing out the details of the information we need for the procurement of the design builder or CMAR engineer that's going to be doing the two projects. So the next step in the program is selecting a project manager team. So we have a program manager that's overseeing everything. We're going to be looking at selecting two project managers to manage one managing the facility and another one managing the interceptor installation and design. So the next step is in the next 5 to 6 months, select those two project managers. So that would put us around the end of the calendar year. At the same time, once the project managers are on board, the next step will be to select the contractor and engineer firm that will do the facility and the interceptor. Part of the program manager scope of work is to help us verify that it's either a design build or a CMAR procurement method. And we're kind of going through that process in the next month or so to verify that we're using the best procurement method for each one of those projects. And with that team in place, the project manager and the program manager, we're looking at selecting the contractor and the engineer the first, second quarter of the next calendar year, 2026. So once the engineer and the contractors are on board, first thing of next calendar year, it will be designed going forward. Probably the facility will be going through a 1.5 year design. Doesn't mean that we may not do early construction packages like grading and things like that can happen right away. And then in parallel, the interceptor, again, beginning of next calendar year, would be under design, the alignment selected, and the construction following shortly thereafter. So 2026, kind of say the middle of 2026, everything would be either about to start construction or under partial construction if we do early packages. And then it will continue through 2030, 2031. That's our planning date to have the facility up and running and the interceptor in place and ready to feed the new facility. So I guess the key dates are end of this calendar year to have a project manager on board and being out for procurement of the contractor and the engineer to start working on the packages for each of those two projects. So that's the big milestone, the end of this calendar year.
Okay, so basically we'll get the people in place and then start about 26 and complete by 31.
That's
about
yes.
right.
Yep,
Okay.
that's the goal.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Scott. Anybody else have questions before we go to call to the audience? Okay, I'm not seeing any committee members, so I'll do the call to the audience. And there's no audience, I don't think, unless there's staff who'd like to say. So seeing no questions or comments from the audience, I would take, Do we need to do anything about the presentation of like our next full committee meeting? Jaime will be there, right? And so if I give my report out of what this meeting was and we have any questions, we can do that. Is that right, Jeanette? Will there be any other presentation?
No, I don't believe so at this point.
Yeah, okay.
When you give your, your spiel about what happened during today's meeting, you can of course reference Jaime, and if they have questions, I can have the spreadsheets ready, Jaime, if you need them
Sure.
for next. Okay, sounds good.
So, but
Okay.
I won't go through the same presentation unless there are specific questions for a particular project. That sounds about what you're envisioning?
Yeah, that sounds good. And Amory, that's her thumbs up too. Okay. All right, that sounds good. Then I would take a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
I'll second
Okay.
that. Okay.
Thanks, Steve. Thanks, Amory. Thanks, everyone. Have a safe rest of your summer. See you at the next meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.